Kore Mwapinduka and welcome to Africa Good Morning, the show that keeps you up to date with the latest news in Africa and beyond. My name is Glenora Shipura, joined by Diana Master. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well on a Wednesday.
It's Woman Crush Wednesday.
Yes. So I'm crushing on me.
You're crushing on, as you should, because you know if you don't crush on yourself, no one will.
Yeah.
I mean, sure. They must though. But before we get a little carried away, let's take a look at what you can expect in today's broadcast. Congo presidency's right record raises questions ahead of vote. Seychelles opposition leader charged in witchcraft probe, and Kenya hit by record 860 million cyber attacks this year. Stick around, we'll be right back with our top stories.
Getting into our top story, Congo's presidency writes record raises questions ahead of vote. When Felix Tshisekedi took office as president of the Democratic Republic of Congo following a disputed election in 2018, he promised to end decades of political repression and corruption that had stifled development in the Central African country. But as he prepares for a re-election bid in December, rights groups, international allies, and rivals accuse his administration of stifling dissent, just as previous governments did while he was in opposition. In recent months, soldiers gunned down anti-UN protesters in the eastern city of Goma, and the body of a prominent opposition lawmaker was found in his car. Police have dispersed opposition rallies with tear gas, and at least 2 journalists have been detained on allegations of spreading fake news. Freedom of expression and freedom of the press are being severely tested in Congo, said Jean-Claude Katende, president of the African Association for the Defense of Human Rights. Now, violation of these freedoms will lead to social and political violence and contestation of the results, he told Reuters, referring to potential fallout from the elections to be held on December 20th.
Now getting into our next story, the leader of the main opposition party in Seychelles was charged on Monday as part of an investigation into alleged witchcraft. Patrick Amini, the head of the United Seychelles Party, who has said he plans to run in the 2025 presidential election, has denounced the move as politically motivated. Amini, also a former Speaker of Parliament, was arrested on Friday at his party's headquarters and his office searched before he was later released. He was formally charged on Monday along with 7 other people at the Seychelles Magistrates Court as part of a probe into witchcraft and unnatural and superstitious acts. This is a political show by the president to eliminate those who he knows will remove him from power in the 2025 elections, Amini was quoted by the Seychelles news agency as saying after his arrest on Friday. Prosecutors say Amini's name was found in a WhatsApp message exchange with a Tanzanian man who was detained in September, allegedly in possession of items linked to witchcraft, including black wooden artifacts, small bottles of brownish liquid, and documents containing language and symbols described as satanic.
Swinging over to East Africa, Kenya's communications regulator has said that the country experienced a record 860 million cyber attacks in the last 12 months. The regulator said that the frequency, sophistication, and scale of cyber threats targeted at Kenya's critical information infrastructure had increased dramatically. In 2017, Kenya experienced 7.7 million cyber attacks. In July, a high-profile cyber attack attributed to the pro-Russian hacking group Anonymous Sudan cut off access to more than 5,000 online government services in the country, including visa, passport, and driving license applications and renewals. The attack also disabled online train booking systems and mobile money transactions. The Communications Authority of Kenya on Monday said that 79% of the attacks recorded in the last 12 months were caused by cyber criminals infiltrating the computer systems of organizations. Now, the regulator also said that 14% of the attacks involved malicious software, 6.5% involved cyber criminals flooding servers with traffic to overload their infrastructure, and the remaining attacks targeted web applications.
Now, South Sudan's President Salva Kiir has sacked Central Bank Governor Johnny Oyiso Damien and other senior finance officials, state television announced, the second time he has removed a central bank chief in just over a year. The announcement was made late on Monday, did not give a reason why Kiir was removing Damien and appointing James Alec Garang, an advisor to the International Monetary Fund, in his place. Kiir also replaced the central bank's 2 deputy governors, the head of the government's revenue authority, and other senior officials in the finance and trade ministries. Abrupt changes to the leadership of the central bank and finance ministry have been frequent in recent years, and in 2020 alone, the central bank governor was replaced twice. Damien only took up the position in August 2022 after Moses Makur Deng was removed from the role. South Sudan's economy has been depressed since a civil war that erupted in 2013, forcing about a quarter of its population to flee to neighboring countries. The war cut oil production, the mainstay of economic activity. While crude output has improved in recent years, it is yet to reach levels seen before the war.
The World Health Organization authorized a second malaria vaccine on Monday, a decision that could offer countries a cheaper and more readily available option than the world's first shot against the parasitic disease. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said the UN Health Agency was approving the new malaria vaccine based on the advice of 2 expert groups recommending its use in children at risk of the disease. As a malaria researcher, I used to dream of the day we would have a safe and effective vaccine against malaria. Now we have 2, Tedros said. Earlier this year, regulatory authorities in Ghana and Burkina Faso approved the vaccine. This is one more tool we will now have, but it's not going to replace bed nets and spraying insecticides, said John Johnson with Doctors Without Borders. This is not the vaccine that's going to stop malaria. Johnson was not part of the WHO expert group that gave the Oxford vaccine the green light. In 2021, WHO endorsed the first malaria vaccine in what it described as a historic effort to end the devastating toll the mosquito-transmitted disease has on Africa, home to most of the world's estimated 200 million cases and 400,000 deaths.
That brings us to the end of our top stories, but don't go anywhere. More Africa Good Morning coming up after the break.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
You're still watching Africa Good Morning. Now, the African Peer Review Management tabled a discussion earlier yesterday on the 3rd National Review of the Development of the National Government's Report for Namibia. The report addresses issues characterized under budget management, youth unemployment, socio-economic development, and political governance and democracy. Various local authorities attended the event and raised issues in regards to decentralization, constitutional laws, and democracy, as well as the power-ration of power and authority to traditional leaders. Member of the APRM National Governing Council, Uhuru Dempers, shares more. Precious Nituanapo was there.
African Continental Secretariat of APRM, which is based in Pretoria, South Africa, asked us, once we established, what is the most critical issue that you would like to work on, that you would like to focus on as a National Governing Council in Namibia? And as you would guess, we told them youth unemployment is a very urgent crisis for us in Namibia. And therefore, we immediately started to work by putting together a team of resource persons that did consultations in various regions and had discussions, interviews with key players with regards to youth empowerment in the country. The Ministry of Sports, Youth and National Service, National Youth Council, the National Youth Service and other institutions, the ministries of education, basic education and higher education, as well as civil society organizations and other institutions that are working with young people. And a draft report was formulated, and this report was also peer-reviewed by a team from the Africa Continental Secretariat. This report was presented to the Forum of Heads of States in February 2020. Our Vice President Nangolo Mbumba presented this report on behalf of Namibia in February 2022 to the Forum of Heads of States, and many African countries commended Namibia for this initiative and indicated that youth unemployment was actually equally a crisis and a challenge in their countries, and that they will be watching Namibia to see what progress has been made and what they can learn from that. This report has since been officially launched, and in February this year, the beginning of February this year, a task force was commissioned consisting of various stakeholders that are working with youth so that the recommendations of this report can be implemented without delay. Some of the key findings of this targeted review report on youth unemployment dealt with issues such as the mismatch between what the education and training sector is putting out as products and what the market is demanding in terms of employment and the skills requirement. And there is a realization that some of the products, some of the skills that we are putting out there is probably not in urgent and immediate demand in the labor market, and therefore we find a lot of our graduates on the street without employment. So therefore the report calls for continuous dialogue and engagement between the institutions that are providing the training and those that are supposed to absorb this training, so that we can most of our trainings and the scholarships that we are providing to these trainees are geared towards skills that are required in the market. This report also found that there is a lack of coordination between various institutions, agencies that are dealing with youth unemployment and that are undertaking initiatives to empower the youth. The institutions are not talking to each other regularly. There is a duplication of efforts, but we are not reaching all the youth that are supposed to be reached. For example, the Ministry of Sports, Youth and National Service has a credit scheme for youth. The National Youth Council has also a credit for youth in business, and the report was saying, is there a way we can combine these efforts and to expand them so that we can also make sure that those, for example, coming out of the vocational training centers are able to get access to this credit and to this grant so that they can even create opportunities to employ themselves.
Now let's take a look at our weather predictions for Southern Africa. Good evening and welcome to Sunset News.
HB stays in list A in the speech, rate in taxes, and how much.
After the break, we take a look at the sports.
We bring you
economic indicators, tomorrow's weather, and sports. I am Aina Raiza Kweyong.
Getting into our economic news stories, a Kenyan parliamentary panel on the country's information technology regulator on Monday called the country's information technology regulator on Monday to shut down the operations of cryptocurrency project WorldCoin within the country until more stringent regulations are put in place. The government suspended the project in early August following privacy objections over its scanning of users' irises in exchange for a digital ID to create a new identity and financial network. WorldCoin was rolled out in various countries around the world by Tools for Humanity, a company co-founded by OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. It has also come under scrutiny in Britain, Germany, and France. The project still has a virtual presence in Kenya and can be accessed via the internet even after the August suspension. The Regulatory Communications Authority of Kenya should disable the virtual platforms of Tools for Humanity Corp and Tools for Humanity GmbH Germany, including blacklisting the IP addresses of related websites, the ad hoc panel of 18 lawmakers said in a report. It also called for the suspension of the company's physical presence in Kenya until there is a legal framework for regulation of virtual assets and virtual service providers.
HB Antwerp, a Belgian gem processor and trader, said that one of its founding members, who was fired last month, has been reinstated amid a pending deal with Botswana for the supply of rough stones. Oded Mansouri was reinstated as managing partner and director, and all four of the company's founding partners have moved past the internal differences of the last several weeks. HB Antwerp said in a statement issued late on Monday. The 3-year-old company said last month that it had removed Mansouri following differences in strategy. Botswana, the world's #1 diamonds producer by value, has said it wants to buy a 24% stake in the company. As part of the deal, which is yet to be signed, Botswana state-owned Okavango Diamond Company will supply HB Antwerp with an undisclosed quantity of rough stones for 5 years. Botswana President Mokgweetsi Masisi said last week that the government was assessing the pending fact with HB Antwerp following the internal ructions and after Canadian miner Lucara Diamond severed ties with the Belgian firm. Lucara, which had a deal to sell rough stones of 10 carat and above to HB Antwerp, said that it had ended the partnership because of a material breach in financial commitments by the Belgian firm.
Let's take a look at our economic indicators before we get into your sports news.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraika. play Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
Let's take a look at our sports news. There are no entries in the races for the new open category at the World Cup swimming event in Berlin this weekend, World Aquatics said on Tuesday. The event was meant to mark the pilot open category established for swimmers after World Aquatics voted last year to restrict participation of transgender athletes in elite women's competitions. Following the creation of a task force to look into the matter, the organization established the new category as a pilot project in July, following the close of registration for the open category competitions at the World Aquatic Swimming World Cup Berlin 2023 meet scheduled for the 6th to the 8th of October. World Aquatics can confirm that no entries have been received for the open category events, the global swimming body said in a statement.
Arsenal midfielder Thomas Partey will be included in the squad to play at Lens in the Champions League on Tuesday after being sidelined for the past 6 matches, manager Mikel Arteta said. The 30-year-old Ghana international has not played since suffering a groin injury in training in early September. He's been progressing really well in the last 2 weeks and he managed to train the last 2 or 3 days with the team. That's great news for us, obviously, Arteta said on the team's official website on Monday. He's progressing and has been very good in the past week. He's a big player and we know what he brings to the team. Arteta also gave an update on Bukayo Saka's condition after the England international had to come off during Arsenal's 4-0 victory at Bournemouth in the Premier League on Saturday. Obviously, he took a big knock, but he's recovered well and he trained today, Arteta said, adding that a decision about Saka playing would be made on Tuesday.
Cristiano Ronaldo was on target as Al Nassr survived a scare in the Asian Champions League on Monday, with the Saudi Pro League side coming from a goal down to hand Tajikistan's Istiklal a 3-1 defeat in Riyadh. Sanin Sebai scored on the break to put the club from Dushanbe in front with a minute left in the first half, and Istiklal held out under relentless pressure until Ronaldo leveled with a clever clipped finish in the 66th minute. Anderson Talisca headed the Saudi outfit in front 6 minutes later, and the Brazilian put the result beyond doubt with 13 minutes remaining when he stroked a low shot into the corner. The victory was Al Nassr's second in a row in the group stage of the competition and moves Luis Castro's side 3 points to clear at the top of Group E.
That brings us to the end of our sports news. Stick around after the break. We bring you the highlights from today's broadcast.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
You're watching Africa Good Morning. For those of you that are just joining us, here are the news highlights. Congo presidency's rights record raises questions ahead of vote. Seychelles opposition leader charged in witchcraft probe. Kenya panel urges shutdown of WorldCoin's crypto project within country.
And with that, we've come to the end of our broadcast. Thank you for joining us on this lovely Wednesday morning. Do remember that you can catch Africa Good Morning tomorrow, same time, same place. From me, Glenn Orashipura.
And me, Diana Master, we do wish you a lovely Wednesday ahead.